In this beginner surfing video, we're going to cover everything you need to start surfing, ranging right from what equipment you need all the way through to standing up on your board and a few mistakes that people make when they're learning to surf. In Cornwall you need a wetsuit to go surfing all year round. The two important points with a wetsuit is to make sure it fits you snugly and that it's the appropriate wetsuit for the time of year that it is. In the winter you may want to buy some gloves, boots and a hood just to get some extra warmth. For your first few goes at surfing you may want to rent a board. These are often called foamies or swellies and they're soft edged boards. They're really good for beginners because they've got lots of buoyancy and the soft edges reduces the chance of any injuries. Once you've caught the bug from surfing though, and you're looking to either own a board or just rent a board regularly, you probably want to look at a hard edge board that's in the mini mal shape. Most beginners will choose a pop-out surfboard from brands like NSP or Bic. These tend to be durable and a little bit cheaper than the fiberglass customs, however they are slightly heavier. These boards will allow you to progress right through to advanced surfing. The size of your surfboard is quite important. Most people would pick a surfboard that's about 18 inches taller than they are. You've got to bear in mind though that the heavier you are, the bigger the board you're going to need. The leash is what attaches you to your surfboard. It stops the board drifting off obviously, but also stops it crashing into other people in the surf. You should always wear your leash at all times when in the water. The most important thing is to never go surfing alone, and always take someone else with you to look out for your safety. Where possible, surf on a lifeguarded beach. For more information on that, go to the RLNI's website. The lifeguards will use a system of flags to separate the surfers from the swimmers, and whenever you're surfing you should always try and stay between the black and white flags. If you see that the lifeguards have put up a red flag, this means the conditions are very dangerous and nobody should go in the water. Another important rule when surfing is to never let the board get between you and the wave. This is especially true when we're trying to push our board out through the waves in order to surf back in. I'm pushing my board forward and lifting it slightly over the wave as it approaches, but I'm always keeping to one side of it so that I'll be out of the way if it does rush the board back towards the beach. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to catch a wave and stand up on your surfboard, and to make this easier I've broken it down into 4 simple steps. I recommend you try and tackle each step in turn and try and visualise yourself completing the step when you're practicing in the waves. When we're lying on our surfboard, we want to make sure that we're in the middle and that we're not too far nose down or too far nose up. It sounds very simple, but it can lead to a lot of common errors in catching your first waves. So try and make sure that when you're lying on your surfboard, you're just paddling on the flat water, that the board is flat and that the nose doesn't dig into the water or it's not riding too high up. If anything, it needs to be within 1 or 2 inches of the surface of the water. If you sit too far forward like this, as you accelerate down the wave, the front of the nose is going to dig into the water and it's going to throw you over the top like that. So remember, before you start, make sure you're in the middle of the board on the centre line, and also that your balance is correct so you can catch those waves nice and easily. Now I'm just going to talk you through the basics of paddling to the wave. It's really simple, it's a bit like front crawl, but a good strong paddle can make all the difference between catching the wave and not. So it's important to get it right before we start trying to stand up on the board. When we're paddling we want to use long arm strokes and dig our arms deep into the water. This is going to be way more effective than doing little small strokes to the outside. Again, we want to be quite relaxed on the board, paddling slowly but powerfully rather than fast and frantically. Here again I'm focusing on power, and see how deep my arms go into the water. What we're going to do is we'll look behind us and see the white water coming towards us. Then we're going to start to paddle slowly but powerfully, building up momentum so that by the time the white water hits us, it's going to propel us forwards. Once we feel the board being accelerated by the wave, we're going to stop paddling, place both our hands on the deck and push up. This pushes our board forwards and down the wave and make sure we've caught the wave. This is the push up in action, and as you can see I continue to ride the wave on my front. I would encourage you to do this as a practice for catching waves before moving on to the next step. Once you're confident in catching waves, you're ready to try riding them standing up. This step relies on muscle memory, so practicing popping up on the land will help you learn faster out there in the waves. Here is a basic overview of the technique. We catch the wave and we push up and wait. We place both hands flat on the deck and we push up hard. We then flick up with our hips high in the air, aiming to bring our feet underneath our body, with our front foot ending up somewhere beneath our shoulders.
It's important to notice here is I've got both my feet over the centre line, I've kept my shoulders low, I'm looking forward to the way I want to go.
From this angle we can see that the front foot should land underneath the shoulders, and I'm looking forwards and up. Try not to look down at your feet, because if you look down, you'll fall down. In this head-on view, we can see that the feet need to land on the centre line of the board, keep your shoulders low and your head up. Once we've got into a crouch position on our surfboard, we want to slowly rise up into our surfing position by spreading our hands out to balance, bending our knees and keeping our weight forward over the front foot. Now we can relax and enjoy the sensation of riding the wave.
What I'm going to run through now is a few common errors that people make when learning to surf. The first one, which I've already talked about, is lying too far forward on the board, which means that you're going to nosedive and crash as soon as you even try and get on the wave. Be wary of this, but then again, don't stay too far back on your board, otherwise you'll always struggle to get into the wave in the first place.
Another common error when learning to surf is popping up onto your knees. This makes it very hard to balance and you're largely out of control. It's also very difficult to get up from your knees into a standing and surfing position. Difficulties can also arise if when you pop, you land with your feet too close together or across the board, so not on the centre line. Again, this makes it very difficult to balance and you're very likely to fall off.
Feet too close together.
And finally, the last mistake that people tend to make is just standing up way too quickly. So remember step 4 and keep the centre of gravity low to maintain your balance. Now that we've covered how to stand up and some common errors people face when learning to surf, it's time to get out there and practice. Remember, a little bit of practice on the shore beforehand will be quite helpful, as it will help you put into practice what hopefully you've learned in this video. And having watched this video, you should now know a little bit more about what equipment you need to go surfing and what board to choose. You should also understand a little bit of basic surf safety. We've covered also how to catch a wave and then how to stand up on your board. Once you've mastered all this, you're basically a competent surfer and you can go on to practice going along the wave and other more advanced techniques. Thanks for watching this video and I wish you the best of luck in learning how to surf.